Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I'm Andy Signor, and tragic news this morning as we lost actor Dustin Diamond. He was only 44 years old, diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer this January, and then a month later, passing away. Truly shocking for fans. Fans obviously remember Dustin the most as Screech from Saved by the Bell, an iconic, so funny of a character. I say the best character from the show, who had widely been ostracized by the cast, never appearing in any of the reunions that Jimmy Fallon through, and then obviously the Peacock reboot. They always pushed him aside. Why? What happened? What was the deal with the cast and Dustin Diamond? I want to break some of that down as well as share all the cast members' recent tributes to him. A lot of fans are out there sort of frustrated with the cast, feeling it's disingenuous given the feelings they truly held towards Dustin and why they kept him away from all the reboots. Let's go through the comments they made and let's talk about the overall problems they had on set, the drama that was there, and get through it. All right, so first up, here's Tiffani Thiessen's comment. I'm deeply saddened by the news of my old co-star Dustin Diamond passing. Life is extremely fragile and it's something we should never take for granted. Godspeed, Dustin. And here's another one coming in from Elizabeth Berkley. I'm grateful to have gotten to create with Dustin when we were at the beginning of our dreams coming true. I will hold on to those sweet memories and the laughs we shared. Rest in peace. And so far, both of these feel, safe. I do believe they're genuinely moved and bothered by the fact that they lost a co-star. There was drama behind the scenes of this. And you can even tell Elizabeth Berkley focusing on the good times rather than the bad times. And we'll get to that. We'll get to what Dustin did. We'll get to what the cast did. But here's Mark Paul Gosselaar, deeply saddened to hear of the passing of Dustin Diamond, a true comedic genius. My sincere condolences to his family and friends. Looking back at our time working together, I will miss those raw, brilliant sparks that only he was able to produce. A pie in your face, my comrade. And here are the comments, sort of, so you can get a taste of them. I heard you treated him like S after the show ended, though. It's nice you're saying that now, just like the rest of the cast, but it would have been great if you guys told Dustin all this before anyone knew of his diagnosis. Maybe you guys did, I can't say, but often people abide despite life being short. I don't get when anyone was expressing sadness with the reboot without cast members. So sad. All these people getting into the fact that here's a comment where he was speaking to Mario Lopez, who did do a interview with Dustin. Here's the question. Here's a quote directly.
I mean, I haven't seen Mark Paul since I was 16.
Really?
Yeah. I haven't seen Tiffani or Elizabeth since then either. I'm 39. It's been a minute.
That was 5 years prior, and that was before all the reboots. And this was when Dustin was out there doing an apology tour based off of a tell-all book he did. I'll get to that in a second. Let's read the rest of the comments, but I wanted you guys to know where this was all coming from. Here's Mario Lopez, who has been closer to Dustin, I would say, out of all the cast members, actually has interviewed him over the past 5 years or so. And here, Dustin, you'll be missed, my man. The fragility of life is something you never taken for granted. Prayers to your family will continue on. Mario does seem like a guy who sort of keeps good with everybody, at least tries to. And here's the interview they did 5 years ago talking about that. The interview, it's the clip I just showed you. It does attempt that, whether he did it for extra or not, he at least did attempt to reach out and be publicly seen and okay with him. In fact, there's a quote. Here's a quote from 2015 with Mario Lopez directly even responding.
It was a great experience, and I got along with Dustin too. I was probably the only one that really I was really cool with them, and he was always a little quirky, and but because he was a couple years younger. But at that time, when you're a teenager, it's a big difference. But yeah, I was all good.
So, and they played some clips. I don't want to get dinged with the clips, but yeah, Mario clearly trying his best to sort of be good with everybody, and even admitting I was the only cast member who was cool with him. Slip or not, sort of obviously pointing to the drama between the rest of the cast. So here was Lark Voorhees, and we got a lot to say about how they treated Lark Voorhees as well. But here, they worked together on the show and Lisa Turtle, as you know her. Voorhees was the object of Screech's affections on the show and shared a tribute with here on EW. Words cannot express the grief that I'm feeling right now. Dustin and I had a warm and special friendship. He was a caring gentleman, and my memories of him will always be cherished. I'm so very sorry he is gone, but it's exceptionally sad for his close loved ones who have to deal with this tragic death and their own great loss. My heart goes out to them at this trying time. Now, it should be known that Lisa Turtle herself, Lark Voorhees, was ostracized as well. Here she is sort of calling out Dustin earlier, 2 weeks prior. I guess this was during the diagnosis. I'd like to take the time to send special love and special best wishes to Dustin Diamond, who's one of my dearest friends. Dustin, all the many of you, Dustin, all the many in your close circle who know you to be the great person that you are truly pulling for you and praying for the best outcome, Lark Voorhees. Now, these two were ostracized from all the reunions. They're never there. They never get to get invited to any of the big events. It's always the other big four that are included. And Lark Voorhees has been on Dr. Oz and been out there doing publicity, talking about feeling excluded from the gang, feeling slighted and hurt. Here she was on that show where she talks about her own issues and conditions that she's had. I have to admit, I did feel slighted and hurt when I was not invited to be part of that Saved by the Bell reunion, as well as other cast member events. She read from her journal entry on Dr. Oz. Yes, of course. Yet, of course, I also realized that having this puzzling disorder may have played a big part in that factual decision. With that in mind, I am truly thankful for having the chance to work on a show that has been so successful. I want to make sure I don't. Bipolar disorder. That's what it was. The host asked her about not being asked to return, and she showed the pictures, and it was a weird show. But I have to admit, I did feel slighted. Here she is talking about on the show. It was hard to watch because clearly she has had some problems, some disorders. She's out there trying to better herself, and interestingly enough, since she's made these appearances, the cast has opened her back up. I think they were guilted into sort of realizing, okay, Dustin apparently did some nasty stuff about us, but what did Lark do? Why are we avoiding her as well? And so Lark has now been tapped to make an appearance in the new Peacock reboot, I guess a new upcoming season that they're working on. And there was talk of trying to get Dustin Diamond, but obviously, sadly, it never happened. But this all sort of stems from the problems of the main cast. The main cast, who specifically I want to call it here they are. Mario, who sort of plays good with everybody. Elizabeth, Tiffani, and Mark. These three particularly seem to have the biggest issues, so it seems. Here they are doing a reunion and deciding to do it with Jimmy Fallon instead of Lark and Dustin, which makes this not a true Saved by the Bell reboot. And this Jimmy Fallon thing, remember from years ago, I think it was 5 years ago, was sort of the big first time they all came back and did this. But again, wasn't all of them. But then here, 5 years later in 2020, here they are again promoting the reboot with Jimmy Fallon, and notice who again isn't there, Lark or Dustin. It seems like they aren't invited to these cast reunions, and I think that did desperately take a toll on both actors, which is why there's been a lot of drama and a lot of frustration from fans out there to sort of say, well, come on, why didn't you treat him fairly? Now, Mario did, at least interviewed him, whether it was for his own gain to do it on Extra, whatever it was. Mario seems to have made strides to at least like reach out and, as he said, remain cool with Dustin given everything that was going on. But why did the other cast turn? What happened? Well, this is the clip I already played you, but that's the clip he was doing an interview. But he was out there promoting a book. I'm trying to find it. Here's his apology tour. He was out there promoting a book. The book, I don't want to showcase the book too much, but Beyond the Bell or whatever it was like a tell-all unauthorized biography about the book. And in the book, he told a lot of stuff about the cast. One of the which clips, I was trying to find it again, but I couldn't find it, but it was Dustin's on screen in a similar interview to this, talking about how Mark Paul was taking steroids. And then after in the college years, you could tell he was buffer, yada, yada, yada. He was telling all these sort of really sort of, salacious stuff about his own castmates, stuff that clearly upset them. And then as it progressed, there were, here's another interview where Elizabeth Berkley's talking to Mario about
taking it off the unauthorized book by Dustin Diamond.
Right.
So it's a little silly to give credence to that.
So here's Elizabeth even calling it out because of when the TV movie came out about sort of using Dustin Diamond's book as sort of the justification for making that Lifetime TV movie they made. The cast members were clearly bothered, and even in this instance,
when we know the innocent,
I'm going to make sure
it's not even real.
Mario Lopez.
The key word there is unauthorized. So I love keeping up with you on.
So there again, even Mario sort of throwing a little shade of like, come on, that wasn't real. So what ended up happening was Dustin Diamond later changed his story, is how, let's say this, because I don't want to disrespect the guy while he's gone. I think we should be giving him a tribute. I think he was a comedic genius. I think he was troubled, like a lot of people are. We should respect that and understand he was trying to change. And if you actually go and watch interviews of him more recently, he really was out there trying to better himself and apologize for what he did. He was explaining that the book was written by a ghostwriter. There's conflicting reports out there because I was trying to find it, but there's reports of a Howard Stern interview where he says, no, it's all true. And then here's a clip where he's sort of, I want to try and play all sides here, but here's a book where they ask, like, is it true? And what are the dangers of telling a story like this? Couldn't you get in trouble legally?
They have a libel lawyer that reads through everything, what can and can't be said. But you got to be careful what you say, because then that can be slander. So I'll just say that within the book, I reveal all that anyone would ever need to know.
So he's out there defending the book during that period, but then he comes out later and talks about how the book, wasn't real. And so it's a he did this thing about on Oprah Winfrey, he talks about the tapes he made.
Person.
Sorry, I had it.
There's a lot of people who are like, oh, that's how disgusting of you.
The tell-all book Behind the Bells, where they're talking about.
The book was another disappointment of mine. I was a first-time author, so they had a ghostwriter. I talked to a guy a few times. So the book has some truth in it, and a lot of the stories were just kind of throwaways, like, kids were smoking pot and, having sex behind the scenes.
Little stuff.
That came about from another just throwaway statement of, so was anybody doing drugs or sleeping together on the set? Well, what do you think? There was a bunch of kids with hormones at, 15, 16 years old. That turned into, factual trash talking about everybody, which really I have nothing but good thoughts and memories towards everybody.
So he's been out there clarifying where he's come from. So while there are different stories, if you watch it more recently, this is 2013 from Oprah, he's out there just trying to explain and apologize, but clearly a little too late. This is 2013. I think it was 2015 they did that reunion on Jimmy Fallon. At this point, while Dustin had been through a lot of other issues, arrests and foreclosures and so many reality shows, a lot of drama, it seemed clear by 2013 he really was trying to clean up his act. He was out there trying to make amends with the castmates. And so when I watch his interviews like this and he's trying to explain himself, regardless of what the truth is, he clearly had hurt some people, but he clearly also went out there publicly to do the apology tour, to try to make amends, to try and make people, to clarify, well, that wasn't really the case. And yeah, I told some stuff, but they overdid it and the facts weren't real. So whatever you think about it, at least he was trying to make amends. He was trying to get out there and talk to his castmates to sort of better it. So when you go through all these comments, here he is again. He's on Dr. Oz apologizing.
Doing interviews like this and getting the word out there. This is my best weapon for repairing the damage that was caused by things that were done by people who took advantage of me in the situation I was in at the time.
So again, you got to take it as you will, but I take it as I see a man who clearly struggled in his life, and then made a lot of mistakes, as we've all have, made some mistakes as he grew up, and regretted those mistakes as he sort of matured and leveled out in his older years. And then here you get the whole cast showing up to do these appearances, reunions, and they all make sure that he's not invited, rather than try to reach out. And it's very telling when you see that clip of him to Mario's admitting that he hasn't talked to them in 16 years. Now, look, at the same time, you got to look at it the way of the cast is like, forget this guy. He's out there telling nonsense about us, doing this terrible thing, speaking ill of us. I don't want a relationship with that guy. That's fine, unless you're going to reboot Saved by the Bell. If you're going to reboot Saved by the Bell and Jimmy Fallon countless times and then do a remake on Peacock, it does seem like the cast should finally get together and try to make amends, because let's be honest, it's not Saved by the Bell without Screech. And now, sure, while you got in Lisa Turtle and you're bringing her at the last minute because the fans guilted you, the reality is you never really got to the whole reunion done. And now, what a tragic loss that he's gone. And sure, you're saying nice things, and while I appreciate the nice things they're saying, it's a little too late. And it's frustrating that we lost him and didn't get to have this sorted out, and the fact that he didn't get to get this sorted out. He was trying, and then it sounds like throughout the last days of last month and weeks, it's Mario said he did reach out, and Lark clearly reached out. But it's sad to know look, the reality is life is fragile and life is short, and beefs aren't worth holding on to. No matter what someone says about whether you use steroids or not, it seems like we should all be better people and realize, as Mark's even pointing out here, they had some great times together. Comedic genius. I'll miss those brilliant sparks they were able to produce. Regardless of whether they're best friends or not, they should at least be colleagues, and they should at least try to be reaching out to an attempted to get him on a show. Because again, Mark, the show wasn't Saved by the Bell without Screech. Let's be honest. Let's be honest, Elizabeth. Let's be honest, Tiffani. Yes, it was a collaborative effort, but they needed all of you. Screech, for me, was the best part of that show. He was the nerd. He was the one that the cool kids actually hung out with. So it's sad. It's sad to hear all this. And so, are they hypocrites? Look, no, I genuinely believe some of these comments are genuine. I think Elizabeth clearly had a problem with him. I think she still did. And that's going to be a struggle for her. I can't imagine what that pain's like, right? We shouldn't just jump down these celebrities' throats and judge them for not being there. But look, at the same time, they need to understand why fans are frustrated. There's going to be, I think, some serious regret there. As this show continues through Peacock and whatever methods, it's always going to feel a little slight now because it's like, well, at least Dustin was around and it could happen. But now it can't. And that's a bummer. It's a massive bummer for this show because I think bringing him on for an appearance would have been a really nice full circle moment for him, his career, and everything before he was gone. And now he can't. And now the cast is going to continue to show up to Fallon, show up to do these appearances as the cast, the original cast of Saved by the Bell spills the beans. Look, I see why it's sad. And it's a bummer. It's a bummer for Dustin Diamond. I feel bad. And now there's these pieces out there. His reminder that we're all flawed and life is fragile. Facts. He had some problems in his life. And he did upset some of these people. And granted, it's their choice whether they want to work with him or not. But I think that they are up for criticism when they decide to tap a reunion of a show that they all built and they didn't decide to bring back the whole cast. Especially when the guy's out there apologizing. If he hadn't done the apology tour and he was still talking smack, fine. Then I get it. They don't want to be associated with someone who's talking smack. But at a certain point, you got to learn how to forgive for the sake of the fans if you're going to bring back the IP. That's my stance on this. So, yeah, I do think they're being a little hypocritical. I agree, and I appreciate that they're being positive, and I'm sure it's a tough time for them. At the same time, it clearly weren't that close. But I do think they should have tried to figure out a way to get him involved in that show. The show was happening before he was diagnosed. They had every opportunity in the world, and then even as it was diagnosed, they could have reached out and tried to do it. It would have been nice to hear if that was happening or something, but it happened all so fast. Maybe they would have. Maybe we were at a point where it was going to happen, which makes it even more frustrating, but also reminds us all of how life is so short. It's so fragile. It is such a fact. Reach out to the people you haven't spoken to in a while. Try to mend the fences if they cared about you, if you cared about it. Try to not go to the grave with those regrets. It's not worth it. I'm trying not to do that. No more beefs in my life. And the ones I have out there, the ball's in their court. They don't want to associate. That's on them. But I want to go to the grave knowing that I reached out to the people I do care about, and I told people the truth about myself, and I put it out there, and that I'm bettering myself. It's important. I think we all should call someone important. You text them after this. Do that for it. And to Dustin Diamond, thank you. Honestly, thank you for the laughs. You were fantastic on that show, and it's sad to know all the struggles you had of just trying to make ends meet, some of the things you had to resort to. Look, I hear when I read the interviews, it's clear you weren't happy about it. So I'm sorry you had to go for that, but just know, man, we will not forget you. You are a legend. Even as Mark Paul Gosselaar doesn't apparently like you, has said, you're a comedic genius. It's a fact. So rest in peace, Dustin Diamond. Thank you for all the laughs you brought us. I'm sorry we weren't there for you more, and I'm sorry the cast wasn't either, but we'll be there. You'll be there in our minds for a long time coming. Thank you so much for everything. If you haven't already subscribed, please go hit that subscribe button to the channel, smash the bell, smash the like, and leave your comments down below, your thoughts on this, and your favorite episodes of Saved by the Bell, thoughts of Dustin Diamond. Appreciate you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for more here on Popcorn Planet, and check out these videos in the meanwhile. Appreciate all of you.